Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. I am working with Flair from A Flair for Buttons. I'm also working with a bunch of Pinkfresh Studio things from the paper issue store. Use the code Orange Girl for 20% off anything. So I am also participating in one of the challenges over at Paper Issues, and it is a challenge where you're going to use all green. And so what I've done is I've gone ahead and I pulled out all of the green that I could find. There was a bunch in Pinkfresh Super Cool collection, and that's where all of these speech bubbles are from. I also end up pulling a few things from my favorite story collection, which is also a newer collection from Pinkfresh. So you're gonna see me here. I'm working with a lot of green, and then I am going to. It's called a monochromatic Fanatic is the name of the challenge. And so you're supposed to use as much of one color. In this case, it's green for March. And minimize the other colors. And I don't really count black and white. I don't count neutrals really as a color. So I am going to add some black and white to this layout, and I'm going to add my flare that I'm going to add is black and white flare. So you can see that I have pulled a bunch of different flare, some green, some black and white, from my stash, and it is over there in that little cup on the right. And I am going to use three of the pieces that are black from this from that tub of flare. So what I'm doing as usual is I'm going ahead and I'm putting some tissue paper behind my photo. This is a fun photo, which I'll explain a little bit more when I talk about the journaling. And then this piece of black and white striped paper is from the Pinkfresh My Favorite Story collection. It's a 6x6 paper pad, and I love the black stripe. So I'm going to go ahead and put that behind my photo, and I'm going to pop that photo up. I'm kind of going back and forth at this point as to whether I want to do this layout on white or green. And then as soon as I put it on the white, I was like, nope, it's just not going to be enough green for me. So, and I really like this piece of green paper, like the whole idea of kind of the ombre look, the paint. It looks like a paint sample sort of too. I really like the way it looks, and so I'm just going to kind of play around with this. My first thought was to add a little white by cutting my paper in half diagonally with white and then the stripe. And then I decided I liked the green to show over on the left as well. So I thought, well, I'm going to make this smaller. So I make it smaller. You can see here, I'm trying to keep it straight. My first paper wasn't very straight, but I wasn't too worried about it at the time. I figured I could trim it. So then I go with this smaller piece, and honestly, I decide that that's too small. So I'm going to change it again, but you get the idea. So what I'm doing here is I am just thinking that I'm going to add some of the speech bubbles and add some other green pieces to help tell my story. And then throw in a few black and white things, just like you see here. So, so the story of this is basically my daughter went shopping to the grocery store with her grandma and grandpa. And in doing so, they ended up, they pretty much get her what she wants because they're grandma and grandpa and they can do that. And she wanted one of these little watermelons. And so they got her this little watermelon and she brought it home. And I don't even know how this happened, but all of a sudden, as they're leaving, I see that she has taken the watermelon and put a hat on it, and added a bow tie. I have no idea why she did this, other than it's just completely and totally something she would do. So that's the story that goes with this photo. It's just kind of a silly little thing, and I thought it kind of goes with this challenge and March and green and all of that. So I thought, oh, this will be the perfect photo and the perfect story to tell. Month of March and Irish and shamrocks and all that kind of stuff. So right now I'm going to pull out some flare and try to pick out what I want. So I did have a couple of green pieces of flare I had a lot of green flair, but the ones that fit the color scheme the best, that were green, but that also were the same kind of shades of green, or types of green. There was one that was an arrow one, you can kind of see that there, and then the other one had a bicycle on it, and I didn't really think that that fit very well, so I ended up deciding to go with black flair. And the flair that I end up using is all from the same flair set. It's called Brave Soul Flair, and it has 3 different sayings, all of which fit the idea of this layout. And then I got this idea right at this point that I would take that thread and I would go ahead and add some stitching to my layout. And I'm going to do that off camera. So my journaling ends up being, B went grocery shopping with Grandpa and Grandma Braun today. They bought her a watermelon. It wasn't fun enough, so she fixed it. And that is actually directly from social media. That was what was posted on Facebook, and I used that exact journaling and put it in my computer and printed that off on my printer. So here's where I'm going to add the stitching. There, I added it. Magic! So what I did is I just took those 4 different colors of thread and I stitched not straight, but somewhat straight, stitching in each of those middle 4 sections, changing the color for each section, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to kind of add stuff back on. I thought I'd let you know what the flare says. You'll see it in the close-ups, but one says spread the love, one says wander without reason, and then live life on your own terms points to that one. So that speech bubble kind of points to the wander without reason. And then free spirit is on the bottom right. So now I'm just going to kind of put stuff back together. I decided that I had cut it too short, so I'm just going to add a little bit onto that to make it just a little bit bigger, so a little bit more of that black and white shows up. Because even though this is mostly green, I wanted enough black and white so that the flare didn't look out of place. So I added that little piece over to the left behind the white, and then behind the triangle, and then that piece up there at the top where I'll put my date, and then the piece underneath the photo. So I went ahead and I did my journaling in my on my computer, like I said, and I used an Impact, I think is what it's called, IMPACT font, and it looks kind of like a label maker. And I went ahead and I did it the same journaling there in black as well as green, both with white text. And I just went ahead, it fit, so I just went ahead and printed that out on my printer. And I thought I would decide at this point if I wanted to use green or black. So at one point I thought, I think I might want to use black because I knew I was going to use green for my title, and so I thought black might look better, but I ended up changing that. So I ended up changing my title to Luck O' the Melon. I started with Patty Melon, and then I just decided so I Irished it up a little bit, even though this photo was actually taken in the winter, not spring. It was taken in January, but anyway, it still looks Irish to me, right? So it is a hat that we might wear on St. Patrick's Day. So now I'm going to add a little bit more thread because there isn't enough, and I'm just making little nests to put my flare in using 3 different colors of thread. And then I did decide on using the green journaling. I kind of thought the black just stood out a little too much, and since I had Luck O' the in black, I thought, I think that's enough black that I don't really need to have the black journaling. So I switched it out. I did put my date up in the date stamp, used a date stamp to put my date up in that black and white piece of ephemera up at the top, but I used green ink for that. And now really mostly what I have left is to go ahead and glue everything down. Because I'm gluing it onto thread stitching, I am mostly using my liquid adhesive. I I almost always use liquid adhesive when I'm working with the flare, and little things like this that I'm adding. These are little sprinkles. I don't know what they're called. They're called Dress My Craft is the manufacturer, and these are little kiwi slices. They're so cute. They look like kiwi, but I really liked them. I was going to use enamel dots because there's enamel dots that come in both the Super Cool and the My Favorite Story Pinkfresh collections, but I really thought these were cute, so I went ahead and used these and kiwi and melon. I don't know. It kind of looked good together. So anyway, let's see. So really all I have left is to glue this stuff down, and I'm pretty much done. I did decide that I needed a little phrase at the bottom there, just to kind of how it helped kind of give my title a space. And I add that, and then I add a couple of little hearts. And then this is also from the alphas here. They were just little hearts that came on the alphas. And then the last but not least, I'm going to go through, this is from the Pinkfresh collection. I'm just going to add 3 little butterflies because this, even though it doesn't have a photo of my daughter in here, it is a story about her. And so I decided I would go ahead and put butterflies on here as well. If you are a regular listener, regular watcher of my videos, you know that I put butterflies on every single layout that includes my daughter. And there's a whole story that goes with that. And if you have any questions about it, I can link you up so that you know the story as well. But that is about it. The close-ups are about to start, so I will see you in my next video. Thanks a lot for stopping by. All of the information for the Paper Issues Challenge is linked below, as well as the Flair for Buttons store and the type of flare that I used and all of that. So thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you again soon.